I remember bits. I guess there's a couple things I remember. My mom and dad had a baby grand piano in the living room that
Yeah.
they sold with the house, which was kind of unfortunate. I do remember the piano. Maybe I just remember stories of the piano, but I believe I remember the piano.
Yeah. Do you like remember learning about like the riots and stuff in school, like when you were older?
Um, yeah, well, that was still a long time ago, so my memory's not that good. But yeah, I remember studying about the riots and the protests and um, learning about Detroit and the segregation and stuff like that. Um,
When you moved out of the city, did any of your family like did Grandma Sharon or Grandpa Louie's like brothers or sisters still live in Detroit when you moved out, or was everyone kind of moving out at that point?
um, we all lived kind of like in the same neighborhood. My mom's parents lived within walking distance. It was just like around the corner, like a block over.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever remember walking over there. I'm sure we did, but I remember my mom telling us stories that we would go for a walk over to Granny's house,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right around the corner.
Did Nani still live in Detroit, or did Nani move
No,
out?
no, Nani lived in Detroit for quite some time, probably until maybe it was around. I'm guessing it was maybe 79, 70, 78 or 79. It might even been 80. Gosh, I'm bad with dates, but she lived in Detroit till around 80. She worked at Saratoga Hospital, so she stayed down there until she retired.
Mm-hmm.
And then she moved to a condo in Warren. It had to be right around 1980, late 70s, early 1980. And then Uncle Joe and Auntie Eileen lived down there, just down the street from it. It wasn't the same street; it was around the corner too. But they also lived right in that vicinity.
Oh, okay. Do you remember any like hearing about like sit-ins or marches or anything like that, or like any civil rights movements?
Um, yeah, I've heard of plenty. Detroit, I guess, is the nearest one to us. Um, and I suppose I remember this from school that it was a really hot summer, intense. The heat. I remember learning about how hot those summer days were, and they think that some of that was contributing to the tension and stuff because obviously people get different different kind of emotions and moods when it's hot um, but those are kind of I don't remember the actual movements or sit-ins or stuff like that. The like I said, I wasn't born until 1970, so
Yeah.
I can only remember what the stories were told to me.
Do you remember any of like the civil rights leaders that you had learned about in school, or like did your parents ever talk to you about them?
Yeah, well, there was everybody talked about Martin Luther King Jr. With his nonviolent protest, his speeches. He was a great man, and obviously he passed. I think he passed assassinated in 1968 or 69. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, he was assassinated. So before I was born, you know, there's what Rosa Parks in the bus
Yeah.
protest. Where was that? That was in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. Um, that was those were very highly publicized ones. But there was obviously that all happened before I was born.
Yeah. Do you remember or do you remember hearing stories about like segregated schools and stuff from your parents, like, did they ever have to experience that in Detroit?
I know they talked about segregation and stuff, and they must have seen it. They must have lived it, because both my parents were born in 1938 in Detroit. So they must have seen it. They must have lived it, and I'm not sure that they talked about it a lot. They. Yeah, I'm trying to think of if they shared any stories, but I have to believe that they lived it and seen it because of their time in Detroit.
Do you think, like, were people moving out before your parents decided to move out in 1972, or was that when everyone decided to kind of move out? Because that's kind of when, like, the white population migrated more towards the suburbs.
Yeah, I don't think they were the first family to move out. I think just like everybody, the white population in Detroit was moving out as the other families were, were buying the houses and moving into the neighborhoods. But I am sure that there was many people that moved out before them because were nervous or scared or both from the riots.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting to live it. Would you have a picture of your house, or would you know, like, if you lived down that street, could you find your house, or is it torn down?
You know what's funny? We do have a picture of that house. I have to find it.
All right, if I...
You know my dad's resolution?
Yeah. It has the address?
No, it doesn't have the address, but Cousin Patrick gave us a picture of the house. I have to find it.
Oh, really?
It might be up in the closet.
Okay, we can find it. All right, well, that's all the time we need, so.
Okay.